Rain hammered against the windshield as Chidi gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles pale and tense. The wipers struggled to keep up, dragging water aside in uneven arcs. His phone vibrated in the cup holder. Emeka. The name alone tightened his chest. They said forgiveness set you free. But no one ever talked about what happened when the person you were supposed to forgive came back, not to heal, but to reopen everything you had barely survived. The phone buzzed again. Thunder rolled somewhere close, deep and angry. Chidi declined the call. Across town, Emeka stood outside the gate of a large compound, rain soaking through his shirt, a battered suitcase by his side. He looked up at the house with an expression caught between desperation and defiance, as if daring the past to reject him again. 8 years ago, his brother had vanished with 2 million naira and their father's trust. Now he was back. And he believed he was owed something. The return had begun. Morning arrived wrapped in golden light, spilling over the orderly chaos of Okafor and Sons transport. Buses lined the yard, some being washed, others inspected by mechanics with oil-stained hands. Drivers checked in, engines hummed, and everything moved with practiced efficiency. This was Chidi's world now, built from sacrifice, routine, and exhaustion. His phone rang. Ngozi. My love, he said, managing warmth through fatigue. So, your mother sent the wedding date to the family WhatsApp, she said, hopeful but careful. Chidi stopped walking. He rubbed his face slowly, already bracing himself. Ngozi, I told you, December is our busiest. It's always something, she said, her voice thinning. 6 years of next year. I'm not trying to pressure you, but... You are pressuring me, he snapped. I'm doing my best. The silence that followed lingered too long. I know, Ngozi said finally. I'm sorry. I'll see you tonight. Tonight, he said, softer now. I promise. He ended the call, guilt settling heavily in his chest. Before he could move on, a worker approached him, hesitant. Oga, your mother they call you. She say it urgent. Chidi's jaw tightened. He already knew. By afternoon, Chidi sat in his car outside his childhood home, hands resting on the steering wheel, breathing slowly as if bracing for impact. The house looked the same, too familiar, too full of ghosts. When he finally stepped inside, the smell of cooking filled the air. His mother hummed a hymn, her voice bright, almost forced. She turned to him with tear-stained cheeks and a fragile smile. Where is he? Chidi asked flatly. Chidi, my son. Thank God you came. Your brother. Where is he? Her smile faltered. She pointed toward the backyard. Under the mango tree, Emeka sat smoking. He was thinner now, rough around the edges, but the old cockiness still clung to his posture. When he saw Chidi, he stood. For a moment, neither spoke. 8 years of absence, betrayal, and buried grief collapsed into a single, suffocating silence. Bro, long time, Emeka said, attempting a smile. What do you want? Chidi asked. The smile disappeared. That's how you greet your brother. After all these years. My brother died 8 years ago, Chidi replied coldly. The day he stole from Papa and ran. Emeka flinched, masking it with irritation. I didn't come to fight. I came home. This isn't your home anymore. Their mother rushed outside, panic in her eyes. Chidi. Ndu. That's your blood. Blood. Chidi turned on her, his voice rising. This blood nearly killed Papa. The stroke happened 2 days after he found out Emeka stole from us. She gasped. Emeka looked away, jaw clenched. That's not fair, Emeka said quietly, dangerously. Fair. Chidi stepped closer, his hands trembling. Do you know what I gave up for this family? I dropped out of school. I postponed my life. While you were gone, I was here, watching Papa die, wondering why his son abandoned him. Emeka's eyes shone despite his effort to hold back. "You think I didn't want to come back?" he said, his voice cracking. "You think I didn't want to see him before?" He stopped himself, swallowed hard. "I messed up. I know. But I'm here now. And I'm not leaving until I get what's mine." Chidi laughed, hollow and disbelieving. "What's yours?" "Papa's will. My share of the inheritance." The bitterness in Chidi's laughter tasted like ash. "So that's why you came? Not for Mama. Not to apologize. For money. It's not like that. Get out." His mother cried out his name, but Chidi shook his head. "He doesn't get to do this. He doesn't get to destroy us twice." As he walked toward his car, his mother followed, tears streaming. She pleaded with scripture, with blood, with mercy. "The Bible also says the wages of sin is death," Chidi shouted back. "Where was forgiveness when Papa was dying?" She slapped him, not hard, just desperate. "Don't let bitterness kill you like it's killing him," she whispered. Chidi drove away. From the window, Emeka watched, not victorious, not defiant. Just broken. That night, Chidi sat alone in his office at the transport yard, staring at an old photograph of himself, Emeka, and their father, smiling, whole, untouched by loss. A knock sounded. Uncle Boniface entered without waiting. "I heard Emeka is back," he said. "News travels fast." "This family has suffered enough division," Boniface said carefully. "Your father would want." "Respectfully, Uncle," Chidi interrupted, standing, "you don't know what my father would want." The older man's smile hardened. "I know he would want reconciliation. Harboring unforgiveness is a sin. So is stealing," Chidi replied. "Where was the church when Emeka was sinning?" Boniface straightened. "There will be a family meeting. Saturday. At the church. We'll discuss the inheritance." "There's nothing to discuss. Your father left everything to you to manage, for the family," Boniface said, turning toward the door. "If you don't come, the elders will assume you're misappropriating what isn't solely yours." He paused. "Think about your reputation, Chidi. Think about your testimony." When the door closed behind him, Chidi's hands shook, not from fear, but from rage. The past wasn't just back. It was demanding answers. Chidi arrived at Ngozi's apartment long after the sky had gone dark. When he opened the door, the scent of food hung faintly in the air, cold now, abandoned. Candles had burned down to waxy stubs. Ngozi sat in the darkness, her back to him. "Baby, I'm sorry," he said quietly. "The meeting ran. You promised." Her voice was steady, but that was worse. Chidi noticed the untouched plates, the care she had put into the evening, and his chest tightened. "I'll make it up to you," he said quickly. "This weekend." She stood so suddenly that he flinched. Her hands shook as she spoke. "This weekend you have the church meeting. Next weekend it's fleet inspection. Then your mother's birthday. There is always something, Chidi." Tears slipped down her face. He reached for her, but she stepped away. "I love you," she said, voice breaking. "But I'm tired of being the last thing on your list." "That's not fair," he replied, defensive. "You know what I've been dealing with." "And now Emeka is back," she said, bitter laughter cutting through her tears. "And it's going to get worse. I can see it in your eyes. You're already gone." His phone buzzed. He glanced at it without thinking. "See," she said softly. "You can't even be present for 5 minutes." He shoved the phone into his pocket. "I'm here now." "But are you?" she asked. "Or are you trapped somewhere between your business, your family, and your anger?" He had no answer. "I've been praying," Ngozi continued, quieter now. And I think God is asking me if I'm holding onto a man who's already married to his pain. Panic rose in his chest. Please. Not now. When then? She asked. When is it my turn? Our turn. She placed a small jewelry box in his hand, the engagement ring inside catching the faint light. I'm not ending this, she said gently. I'm asking you to choose. Me, or this war with your brother. Because I can't compete with your bitterness. She walked into the bedroom and closed the door. Chidi stood alone, the ring heavy in his palm, feeling the world slip quietly apart. The church hall smelled of dust and old plastic chairs. Family members sat in an uneasy circle, murmuring in low voices. Uncle Boniface took the head seat. Mama Okafor dabbed her eyes with a handkerchief. Emeka leaned back, casual on the surface, though his leg bounced uncontrollably. Chidi arrived last, suited, guarded. They prayed. Everyone bowed except Chidi. His eyes stayed fixed on his brother. Uncle Boniface opened the folder containing Papa's will. He read aloud the familiar words, Chidi entrusted with everything, meant to manage it for the family. The issue, Boniface said carefully, is that family was not clearly defined. There is no confusion, Chidi cut in. Papa left it to me because I stayed. I rebuilt what Emeka tried to destroy. Mamas rippled through the elders. Do you understand what it's like, Chidi continued, his voice rising, to watch your father die from heartbreak? To sacrifice your future because your brother abandoned his. Emeka stood. I made a mistake. A 2 million naira mistake. Mama cried out, begging them to stop. The tension pressed down like a physical weight. Boniface tried to regain control. The question remains, does Emeka deserve a portion of his father's legacy? One elder spoke of the prodigal son. The prodigal son repented, Chidi replied sharply. Does Emeka look repentant to you? All eyes turned to Emeka. He shifted uncomfortably. You're here for money, Chidi said. Not family. Emeka snapped back, bitterness spilling out. You didn't stay because you loved Papa. You stayed because you loved control. Being the hero. The matter. They nearly came to blows before Boniface intervened. His proposal came calmly, 5 million naira to Emeka. A clean break. Chidi refused outright. The room turned against him. Accusations of unforgiveness, pride, disobedience floated around him like smoke. When he asked his mother what she wanted, she couldn't meet his eyes. He left. Outside, leaning against his car, Ngozi's words echoed relentlessly, choose. That night, Emeka sat alone in a rundown bar, cheap whiskey burning his throat. On his phone was a photo of a little girl, 6 years old, with his eyes. Tears slid freely down his face. A stranger sat beside him, spoke of family, of running and returning too late. When his phone rang, mercy, he declined and drank harder. The next morning, Chidi found his mother in Papa's old room, surrounded by memories. She showed him a photograph he didn't recognize, young Emeka, bruised and small. She told him the truth. About Papa's temper. About expectations. About how Emeka had lived his life in Chidi's shadow. You're becoming like your father, she said gently. Unforgiving. Then she gave him the letter Papa had written for Emeka. Chidi didn't open it. Later that evening, Chidi confronted Uncle Boniface. The truth spilled out, missing church funds, manipulation, fear. Boniface's silence confirmed everything. The family meeting had never been about healing. That night, Chidi found Emeka sitting on the porch, hollow-eyed. I'm dying, Emeka said. Liver failure. A year, maybe less. He showed Chidi his daughter. Chidra. I came back for her, he admitted. Not for me. When Chidi handed him Papa's letter, Emeka broke. I failed you, the letter said. And for the first time, the wall between them cracked. By morning, Chidi sat alone in his office. On the desk, the letter, the photo of Chidra, and Ngozi's ring. The choice waited. And there was no easy way out. 3 days later, Chidi stood outside a modest apartment in a rundown neighborhood, his hand hovering midair before he finally knocked. He hadn't been this nervous in years. When the door opened, a woman with tired eyes and guarded posture looked him over carefully. "You're Chidi," she said. "Yes," he replied. "Emeka said you were expecting me." After a brief hesitation, she stepped aside and let him in. The apartment was small but clean. Sparse furniture. Toys gathered in one corner. Children's drawings covered the refrigerator door, crayon suns, stick figures, crooked smiles. And then a little girl peeked out from the hallway, wide-eyed and curious, wearing Emeka's smile on a smaller face. "Chidra," the woman said gently. "Come greet your uncle." The girl approached slowly, shy but curious. Chidi knelt so they were eye level. "Hi, Chidra," he said softly. "I'm your Uncle Chidi." She studied him carefully. "Are you my daddy's brother?" "Yes," he answered, his throat tightening. "Yes, I am." "My daddy says you're very important," she said. "He says you built buses." Chidi smiled despite himself. "I did. Maybe one day I'll show you." Her face lit up. "Really? Daddy says when he gets better, he'll take me on a long bus ride. To see the ocean." The smile slipped from Chidi's face. He looked up at Mercy. She didn't need to say anything. Her eyes already had. "Go play in your room, baby," Mercy said gently. "Let the adults talk." As soon as Chidra skipped away, the air grew heavy. "I didn't ask him to come back," Mercy said, exhaustion seeping into her voice as she Saturday, "I told him we'd manage." "How long have you known about his condition?" Chidi asked quietly. 6 months. He collapsed one day. The doctor said his liver was failing. Badly. She pushed medical papers across the table. Chidi scanned them, the words blurring together. "I work 3 jobs," Mercy continued. "Hairdressing. Cleaning offices at night. Market sales on weekends. But it's not enough. Children need school. Stability. A future." Her voice cracked. "He loves her," she said. "For all his faults, he loves that girl. Watching her watch him die. I wouldn't wish that on anyone." Chidi asked why Emeka hadn't told him earlier. "Pride," Mercy said with a bitter laugh. "Shame. Fear. He didn't want you to think he came back just to dump another burden on you." "But he did come for money," Chidi said. "For her," Mercy replied fiercely. "Everything he's asking for is for her. He's already set up a trust. If the money comes, it goes straight to Chidra." She showed him the documents, proof of everything. "I know you don't owe him anything," she said quietly. "But that little girl didn't do anything wrong. She just wants her daddy." From the hallway, Chidra's voice floated out, softly singing a children's worship song. Chidi closed his eyes as the weight of it all pressed down on him. That evening, Chidi sat across from Ngozi in her apartment. 2 cups of tea sat untouched between them. "You've been avoiding me," she said. "I know. I'm sorry. Are you here to tell me it's over?" "No," he said quickly. "I'm here to tell you everything." And for the first time in years, he did. He told her about Emeka's illness. About Chidra. About how anger had hollowed him out from the inside. "I've become exactly what I hated," he admitted. "Hard. Unforgiving. So focused on sacrifice that I forgot how to live." Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. "So what are you going to do?" she asked. "I don't know," he said honestly. "If I give him the money, the business might struggle. If I don't, a child suffers. Either way, someone loses. She moved closer and took his hand. I didn't fall in love with you because of your business, she said. I fell in love with your heart. The man who loves so deeply it scares him. She held his face gently. That's the man I want to marry. What if I make the wrong choice? Then we'll face it together. But choose from love. Not fear. She picked up the ring and held it out to him. Ask me again. Chidi's voice trembled. Ngozi, will you marry me? Not someday. But now. In the mess. Yes, she said through tears. 1,000 times yes. For the first time in years, Chidi breathed freely. The next day, Chidi sat in his office surrounded by numbers and sleeplessness. When his CFO explained the cost of giving up 5 million naira, Chidi listened carefully. We'd survive, the man said. But it would be tight. How many jobs would we lose? 15. Maybe 20. Families. Chidi looked out at the yard, the bosses, the workers, the lives intertwined with his decisions. My father built this business on hard work and family, he said quietly. I forgot the family part. They restructured. Delayed expansion. Cut elsewhere. Are you sure? His CFO asked. No, Chidi said. But I'm choosing faith anyway. The family gathered 2 days later. Chidi stood before them and spoke plainly. He apologized. Not weakly. Honestly. He offered Emeka the money, not as entitlement, but as grace. Mama wept. Emeka broke down. Then Chidi turned to Uncle Boniface and exposed everything. The manipulation. The theft. The lies. Boniface stormed out in disgrace. The room fell silent. That evening, Chidi and Emeka sat beneath the mango tree where everything had once fallen apart. I'm sorry, Emeka said. For everything. I know, Chidi replied. I don't want to leave her, Emeka whispered. I'll be there, Chidi said. Ngozi and I. She'll know who you were. They held each other. 2 broken brothers, finally healing. 3 months later, Chidi stood at the altar as Ngozi walked toward him. Emeka sat in the crowd, frail but smiling, Chidra's hand in his. Forgiveness, Chidi realized, wasn't about the past. It was about choosing freedom. Emeka passed away 6 months later, peacefully, surrounded by family. Years later, Chidi taught Chidra about bosses in the transport yard. She laughed, unburdened. Grace had cost everything. And it had been worth it.